Hey guys, my name is Sabir Bhatti. A very warm welcome to another episode of the Sabir Bhatti Show, the place where I interview interesting people with interesting perspectives. And today's guest is Brian Johnson. That's spelled Brian Johnsson. On TikTok, you can find him using his handle I am Brian underscore Johnson. Let me tell you a bit more about Brian before we begin. So, Brian's mission is to help busy leaders who are committed to optimized wellness, who like to save time, have more energy, boost performance, and craft a body through a system which allows for rapid results for mind, body, and business. If you want to find out more about Brian Johnson's work, you can visit his website, which is brianjohnsoncoaching.com. And I will also include useful links, including Brian Johnson's Linktree link at the bottom of the YouTube and podcast description. It will include links such as his YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the other links to his work. So without any further ado, a very warm welcome to Brian Johnson. Hello.
Grand Rising, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Amazing. Enjoying my
Good.
Sunday. I'll do my best to enjoy every day, but especially today, right?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on the show. And I'm so glad because you're actually joining me from the other side of the world
Mhm.
in America. Let us know whereabouts you're dialing in from.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas, at the center of the universe, kind of
Amazing. And what's the weather there like at the moment?
hot. Well, actually, these July and August are our two hottest times of the year, so 100 plus. But right now, got a little breeze, so it's actually not too bad. But generally speaking, it's 100 plus right now for us. It's warm.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had a heat wave as we were talking off air not long ago. We've had a heat wave here in the UK a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
and
You're
it's
messing
been
with the
like tremendous. Yeah, like we were hitting 40 degrees Celsius, which we've never had in the UK for God knows how long. So, but it's cooled down a lot more now, so it's not too bad. So, let's jump straight into this. Again, thank you for joining me. And I want to begin just by touching on something that I mentioned in your introduction, because a lot of your work is to do with, as you describe it, optimized wellness. Now, that's a term that's not used too often here in the United Kingdom, but I know in the States, people are more familiar with it. So if you could perhaps just delve into that term for us and just give us your take on what optimized wellness actually means.
Yeah, so optimized wellness is just being able to express and be your highest expression in all areas. So you got mind, you got body, you got spirit, you got business. If you have a business mindset stuff, there's always dials that you can turn to improve the quality and potentially the quantity of your life. So what I do over my 39 years of doing this stuff so far, which is kind of what I found over the years is there's a lot of things that you can do that don't require a lot of money necessary. They just require an understanding of some ideas that you can use to start making adjustments. So a lot of times when I'm working with people, I wear all the hats. So when it comes to nutrition or it comes to emotions or trauma or whatever, I go in there and help them to clean that stuff up. The two fastest ways I have found to optimize one's well-being is very simply through what we're speaking and then through body language. So you'll see me, my nose will start itching when I start teaching and talking because it always does. And I'll just give you some code back now so you understand it. So if you just touch the right side of your nose, anytime you do this or this, that's I can. Left side is I will. So you'll see me go, I can, I will, I can, I will. And I'm telling you now because it'll happen. Like, you touch your nose, I know when I'm teaching, my body does. My body's talking to me while I'm talking to you. I use that information to adjust who I'm being accordingly. So as we start diving into what these scratches and itches mean, it's the most profound information I've ever come across. I've never seen it not work. And often it works within seconds. And we'll dive into it today because it's really fascinating. I think that's where I can provide some of the best solid value for you to optimize your well-being is by understanding that all day long, since we were born, even pre-verbal, even before we could actually communicate, our body has been itching or scratching or accessing information, which is actually code. And it's our highest self communicating to us through us to help us get a message through or to help us understand when we're off our mark. right? So when pains and things start showing up, they don't just show up. There's no coincidence. Something is going on here in conjunction with a feeling that hasn't been checked and resolved, and now it's a thing. The most, not really, one of the most important caveats I'll share with you, and then we'll continue. Don't ever agree with having anything. If your doc, your professional says you have block, no, delete, delete, delete. You have symptoms of something going on emotionally that you're currently unaware of. And when you go to the doc, the professional, the one you have faith in, and he says you have X, Y, Z, you're like, then you start saying it, whole nother problem. Because now his faith or your faith in the authoritative figure has bypassed all critical faculties. And now you have instead announced yourself as having a thing, which now you more than likely going to start to create a thing. So just know words are a big deal. A lot of times when I'm working with people, they'll start stuttering and hey, that's all code. All of it's code. And we'll get to it today. I'm just giving you some ideas to really give yourself permission to give me just 1% of your trust, because I will earn the other 99. And I'll tell you that the things that you're going to hear today, you have not heard these before. Like literally, I don't know, but maybe one other person, two maybe, who understand the skill sets that I have, and I can teach these to you. So it's not like, oh, I'm a unicorn. No, I've just invested time in a very specific skill set to add value and solve problems. And this is what we'll generally talk about today. So that's optimized wellness for me, is being conscious and clear on who I'm being, so that I can get clear when something is up emotionally. It'll show up in certain places. Like I'll show you this. So, and I'll give you this chart. This chart right here, if you can see it, will show you there are different emotional points on the body. So when sorrow is active, sorrow or sadness is going to show up as a tightness in your throat. Or when fear is active, it's going to show up in your chest or your stomach like you're hungry, even though you already ate. You see, when you can catch these things and you can be aware of it, it will allow you to be a ninja in your own experience, because then you're no longer be able to be controlled by your emotions, because you can tap in and get clear on what's active, not what you're thinking, what's actually present, which often what we're thinking is not what we're feeling. And I'll give you more on that information, but just know. And you can, I'll give you all the charts and things that talk about, when you get my link tree information, you'll see it on there. You get this text message and I'll give it to you. But yeah, that's my lengthier version of optimized wellness and some facets that go within it to create that for people.
Yeah, no, thank you for going into immense detail with that. And, I was really excited when we connected online. And the reason for that was because once I started delving into your material, I loved the angle at which you come from. It's not surface level. You go very deep, as you've just explained there. And I really found it fascinating. So I too am really excited about what's to come over the next hour or so. The next thing I wanted to ask you was, in the introduction, I mentioned, of course, that you do a lot of content across social media, including TikTok. And I've noticed something very, very interesting. In a lot of your videos, you start with this very powerful line. You say, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Now, I find that really interesting.
There it is.
That's the one. And that's one of your books as well, right? Now, you also were very kind to share, when we were speaking on email a few days ago, a bit about your personal story. And I was wondering, this line where you say, if you don't make time for your wellness, you make time for your illness. Sorry. So if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. And I know you also had your personal experience in the past of gaining considerable weight on 3 occasions, and you managed to overcome those hurdles. So is your personal experience, thank you for showing that. Amazing. Wow, look at that.
Three different times. Okay. So, and I'll tell you, I'm just gonna be Brian, because I don't know how to be frank, right? Which means I'm very straightforward. I'm very transparent. I really don't expect you to hear me until you know me, right? So being totally authentic. This picture right here was when I was 25, 26. I literally just came out of jail for about 8 months. You can tell by my beard, by my fat ass, that that's where I was. This is about a year after. I did a show when I was 30, and I'm 44 now. And here's what I'll tell you. It took me 14 years to figure out how to get back here as a normal way of life, because of some very important, subtle nuances, which we can talk about. But here's what I'll tell you. The reason why I've done this 3 different times is because I didn't change who I was being the first 2 times. Even though I got in shape, I did all the work, I just didn't change my identity here. So I ended up back here. Okay. And here's a challenge. You might have some luck, or you might have some drive and some willpower to move forward and take action. And if you have things, stuff going on underneath the hood, and from your identity perspective, you're only going to do what your identity is identified with. So if you think of yourself as being out of shape, being unlovable, whatever the thing is, you're only going to get to that point. So much of what I do is help people to identify the belief systems that are present that are keeping people stuck so they cannot move forward. Once we take those bricks and those blocks out and rewire it, the body will naturally hold higher vibratory states because that's just who you be. All right. That's a big deal. And you got to understand that identity wise, man, it's such a big deal because things will never change until you change. And often it's going to be about me loving myself, number one. I find that's really the biggest one. When people have stuff going on, or they're not able to move forward, or they're stuck, or they keep having the same thing, or they know what to do, they just don't do it. They don't love themselves. And it's okay, because look, I thought I did right here, and I was way off my marker. Like, I was convinced that I love myself, and I was 100% not accurate about that. And I was believing that I was truthful. That's the problem. If I would have just known, hey, man, you're BSing yourself, and that's not the authentic truth, then I could have made a faster adjustment and got myself back in the game. So when Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true, very important. Very important.
Well, that's very interesting. What I also love about your work is you model it a lot on principles, and there were 4 key principles that I noticed in your online work, and you mentioned these as being air, water, food, consciousness, and consciousness is the one that really stood out, and sleep. Could we perhaps touch on the consciousness part, because it ties in nicely what you just said there a few moments ago, because a lot of your work is also somewhat spiritual, because in your videos you mention faith and God, and God's provision of things like natural foods, which we often are not aware about in terms of their healing properties. Could you perhaps touch on that a little bit?
So over my 39 years being a health nurse, I started doing this stuff when I was 7. It's not like one of these, like, look, here's just what I have experience and I'll share with you freely, and you can deduct what you choose to out of it. So over my experience of doing the health thing, I have come across a lot of interesting things in my service of well over 100,000 people at this point, that there are certain fundamental principles that one can really plug into and have some pretty phenomenal experiences, because here's how I base my information: air, water, food, sleep, and consciousness. Okay. These are the things in order that we would die without first: air, water, food, sleep, consciousness, mindset, awareness. So we'll talk briefly about some of them, and then we can dive into some of them a little deeper. So when you're talking about God's foods, and that's how I base all my information, is based on God's laws, not my Brian Johnson's theory or opinion. That's why I believe that it works, and that's why I've never had it not work. Okay. So when you're talking about air is the first thing we're going to die with that. So if you could just check in with yourself now and pay attention to see where you're breathing from. Are you breathing from your chest, or are you breathing from your stomach? If you're breathing from your chest, that's going to automatically tell you that you're in fight or flight or freeze or survival, or, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that's okay, just not ideal to stay in that state. Okay. So you can easily set a reminder. And this is a lot of what I do with my clientele. Set a reminder. I have an alarm that goes off every 15 minutes. The whole objective is I'll hear it. I scan my body. I check to see if I have any tensions or where I'm breathing from. So that way, if something's off, I can adjust it, make a micro tweak, and then be back in the game and then go about my business, right? So air, first thing, if I'm breathing from my chest and then push my breathing down to my stomach, there are 2, 3, 4 oxygen enhancing nutrients that are very fundamentally sound. One of them, I have my own products called Shilajit. Shilajit is probably one of my top 2 or 3 just all around amazing products. We can talk about it more, but just in a nutshell, it's phenomenal. Another one is Camu berry, which is your highest source of vitamin C. It also is amazing for lung function. So people with emphysema, allergy issues, or people who are just interested in boosting their immunity and boosting their lung saturation of oxygen. Camu berry is phenomenal. Out of the Amazon forest is generally a powder, could come in a capsule, very bitter and very effective. Second one is kiwis. Kiwis is our second highest vitamin C source, but also there's a study with like 18,737 kids out of Italy who had emphysema issues, who had breathing issues, allergy issues, wheezing issues, and in 5 to 7 servings or 5 to 7 kiwis over a 7-day stretch, 40 to 50% of all their symptoms disappeared. Now, I've seen this happen with asthma, between 1,500 milligrams of fish oils and 2 kiwis, and all of a sudden, bam, no more asthma. One of my clients had for 50 years. What? Yeah. Why don't we know that kind of stuff? Well, we don't know about it because it works. That's why I don't want you to know about it, right?
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so you have water. Not all waters are created equal. One of the simple things you can do now is get your water jugs and just write, I am blessed, I am grateful, I am loved, I am perfect, whatever you choose to do, because that, and you can go, don't take my word for it, go check out Dr. Emoto, Emotto on YouTube, Miracles of Water. He'll show you the science so you can understand how words can imprint vibrations into water, which will absolutely have sex with all the other fluids in your body and intermingle and raise the vibration of it. So water does make a difference. I have I have 2. Now I have my second one. Have you ever heard of Kangen water? Kangen?
I haven't, no.
I have it's a Japanese medical grade device that has 7 titanium plates. And when it comes out of my faucet into the machine, there's 2 spouts. There's a spout that's a runoff, and then there's an alkaline part. Generally speaking, I'll drink a 9.5 pH water. That's not the cool part. It's important, but that's not the cool part. The cool part is how well the water actually absorbs because of how it's broken up and structured coming out of the machine. First time I had this stuff, I'm not even kidding. A second into, I'll just tell you a story so you understand this, and then we'll carry on. So
sure.
I was with my business partner, Chris, Think Great, Lose Weight. We were driving to this lady's house. Back then we had a gym, so we would have people come in all the time trying to give us stuff and sell us stuff and promote things, right? So this lady says, hey, we got this water. Why don't you check it out? I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I was like, come on. So I'm like, all right, I'll be open-minded, because I was totally skeptical, which is probably good. So we're going to this lady's house. And at this point in time, we were getting ready and competing for our show, right? So I'm passed out in the passenger seat. That's how tired I was. I get to the lady's house, get out of the car, walk to the front door. She gives me a little cup of water, okay? I take a sip, and I'm not even kidding you. I've done a lot of drugs in my past, right? Just very transparent. And I have had things happen where I took a sip of that water and boom, my brain turned on, my eyes turned on. I said, something's up. I haven't had any thermogenics. I've done no drugs. I've had no food, no carbohydrates, and I was literally about to pass out in the seat. I was passed out in the seat on the way over here. So you have my attention. After that, man, I had probably 2 or 3 different experiences within Kangen water, and it absolutely transformed my life. I've seen it transform my dog's life. I've seen people come off transplant lists. So if anybody tells you water doesn't matter, do not pay attention. It's the first most thing you're going to die without besides oxygen. So imagine putting a Ferrari type water in your body from an oxygen transport, nutrient transport, toxin removal. It's impeccable. So if you can find somewhere you're at, test it out. And just test it out, right? I mean, everybody's different. Some people might like it. Some people don't. Most people do and have had great experiences. So that's that. And if you got questions, you can just text me. So air, water, food is the next one. Our body is nothing more than a transitory moving vehicle of nutrients and stuff that we've eaten over the years, right? Because that food is the building blocks of our body. Minerals are huge. In the 1950s, there was a Senate document that floated around here in the U.S. stating how deficient our mineral supplies and soils were, so that when foods were being grown, they had mineral deficient soils, mineral deficient plants, mineral deficient foods, mineral deficient humans with mineral deficient diseases. It's one of the most important things. If you walk away with anything today, start taking minerals. I have minerals. I have different places. I have minerals in my house. I'll travel with them. I'll take little bottles and do concentrates and stuff like that. But minerals are also consciousness as we start getting into consciousness, because if you don't have enough juice, minerals, to transport signals, frequencies through, you cannot upgrade your life. So as you imagine soils being deficient, being depleted, then putting a bunch of crap in our food, they know what's going on. So for you to empower yourself to raise your vibration or your consciousness capacity, you need to have minerals to take those frequencies or those consciousness or those states of being and be able to transmute the signals coming through your body so you can use the information. So as you're able to tune and fine tune who you're being because you have minerals, you can upgrade at a much faster rate. Example, I've had clients in the past who are in their 60s, and working through emotions for them was really difficult. Very pasty, very white because they're fucking deficient. They have no minerals, like they have no juice to be able to move forward and make adjustment. They can't just go in there and flip the switch on because they don't have any electricity to flip the switch. Okay. So minerals is huge. The link tree link that you'll have, there's different access to minerals that I use that are discounted on there for you. So you can check those out. So air, water, food, sleep. Sleep is a big deal. I have to say, that's one of the number one things I work with instantly with people, because here's the point. If you're not sleeping well, you're not able to regenerate. You're not able to rewire stuff. Your body's going to start shutting down. It's absolutely critical. I'm not saying you need to sleep 10 hours, but you need to make sure you're getting a good 6. I generally get about 6. As long as I get good sleep at 6 hours, I don't need any more than that, especially when I'm eating clean. All right. Well, now when I've eaten a bunch of sugars and stuff like that, it'll knock me out for a while and I'll have a harder time sleeping because my body's digesting all that crap, right? So sugars, cancel, sleep. And the last one is consciousness, which is just your awareness, is your ability to be open-minded, your ability to be committed to the truth, whatever that is. Many people are not interested in conversations that I have because I'm very straightforward. We're going into the fire. There's no way for you to grow and to change and to transmute and to activate the best divine expression that God has planned for you unless you have the tools and the mindset and the willingness to go into the fire to come out of it. That's the only way to go through it. So what I do is help people with the tools and the understandings on how to move forward and how to use their body to process any of the things that come up emotionally. Because here's an example, okay? Let's say you have a former partner. Notice I didn't say ex-partner, former partner. Just say it in your mind and pay attention to how you feel, because remember when I said language is a big deal? Every time you have a word, that word's going to create a vibration. That vibration could be a stressful one. It could be a happy one. Either way, it's a vibration. Law of attraction is very real. Whether you like it or disagree with it, doesn't matter. Whatever vibe you're putting out, you're going to get more back in the form of people, circumstances, situations, and events that match how you feel. So if you don't know what you're feeling and you have tension going on your body, these spots or circles represent emotions. Okay. So the most important thing I could part with you today is to help you understand that when something's out of alignment, the best gift I can help you with is how to get authentically accurate on what it is in seconds so you can actually change it. Because if you don't know what it is, guess what? You ain't going to change it. And you can't just sweep it under the rug and make it go away. Feelings buried alive never die. Okay? So understanding that all day long, your body's talking to you. Understanding what that is, even just 10% of it is a huge deal, because check this out. Words is only 7% of our communication, and words are hugely important. And that's only 7%. 38% tonality, meaning how you say it, and we'll get into more tonality stuff here in a second. Next one is going to be physiology or subconscious or body language, which is actual your body just doing itches and scratches and pains and tissues and stutters and static body positions or foot patterns and inverted feet. Like all that's code. Okay. So that means that 93% of our communication is other than spoken, which means if you don't know that, you're missing out on 93% of the conversation available to you and for you. Plus, as you start understanding what I'm showing you and sharing with you, you will start to see things in your environment that are a reflection of who you be. When you understand that, you can take that feedback or that data or that code, you can take it internally and you can do your own work on yourself, and your external experience will change, validating who you're being. Okay, so here's an example. Let's say, and my nose is itching. So let's say here's an example, right? Let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you hear your person stutter 3 times, pop, 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 and then you, let's say you have the skill set. Oh, that was a 3 stutter. What did Brian say that was? We check our body. We've got tightness in your throat, which is a 3. Solar plexus is a 3, and below your belly button is a 3. What does that mean? Well, that means when you hear that 3 stutter, you immediately check on your body, because the fact that you heard it is your body trying to tell you something, because that ultimately that other person is still you. Okay, technically speaking, there's only one of us here, meaning emotionally speaking, there is one being, or let's just say human, if you will. Even though there's 8 billion of us, there's still one person here, because every one of us is connected subconsciously. So whatever I'm doing to you, I'm doing to me, and whatever you're doing to you, you're doing to me. So just remember that anytime someone shows up in your experience, that's you. If you can catch the lesson, it'll allow you to move forward faster. So when you hear the 3 stutter, and hey, whatever it is, you immediately check in with your body. The only reason you would hear it in the first place is because you're not feeling what's going on. And this little phrase right here is helpful. So just use this for those of you checking this out. I give myself permission to feel my feelings, and it's okay. Now, when I did that, my head did a yes. So I know my subconscious says, okay, we're moving forward. Now, when you do that, pay attention if you get a no. You'll get a quick one if you do, but the idea is to be aware of it. So that way, if you have one, then we can go and clean it up. At least you're not moving forward thinking you're in alignment when you're fucking 180 off of it. Okay. So when you check in with yourself, throw or 3 stutter 3 is going to show up in 3 places. It could be one here. It could be in your solar plexus, but it could also be below your belly button. So you have sorrow or sadness, you have grief, and then you have subconscious grief. So when you hear that 3, you immediately scan yourself to get clear on what your body is telling you, because that's going to tell you the truth. No matter how many times you do this, and no matter how many times we have this conversation, always, 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 no matter what, go to your body first. What is my body telling me? Not my thinker, because my ego is always choosing to be right. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be accurate. Okay. So when I have things going on here, I'll scan my body and say, okay, I know I've got stuff going on here. And what am I feeling? Am I tight here, whatever? It gives me that layer where I can get authentically accurate, truthful information, so I can adjust who I'm being off the facts. Make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you were saying that, I was literally thinking to myself, like, this is information gold, especially for me. And I wanted to share something with you if you don't mind. So, about 2.5 years ago, before I moved to the north of the United Kingdom, I began putting on a hell of a lot of weight. And I know why it was. I was eating crap, I wasn't paying attention to any of my diet, and I put on considerable weight. And then when I moved here, I signed up to a 3-month weight loss program that helped me lose a bit of weight and made me understand what was needed in terms of that balance between going to the gym and eating. However, since then, although I've managed to keep the weight off, I still haven't managed to get to that point where I'm completely satisfied with how my body is looking. And as you were speaking there, it just made me realize that shit, I haven't been paying attention to my inner self and my thoughts and the feelings. And as you were speaking, it just, something just clicked to say, I'm only doing half of it. Gymming and eating is perhaps not enough, right?
Yeah.
So where am I going wrong, do you think?
Well, it's not that you're going wrong. It's just your level of awareness is advancing, right? It's like most people. That's why our book is called Think Great, Lose Weight. It starts here. But if you're only aware of what you're aware of, how are you going to change it? Right?
Yeah.
That's the point. So here's the thing too. Even being, I can even tell you this much, my friend, when I was in my best shape ever,
Yeah.
I still thought there was more work to do. Even being better than 99.99999% of every human on the planet, still I have work that I think that I should do, that I need to, that I can always improve. So I'll be just being Brian with you, because I don't know how to be frank. When you find out how to be fully content with where you're at, let me know. Other than that, I think it's always changing. But here's what I will share with you. Here's a couple of fundamentals that I think could be useful for you.
Yeah.
Because at 44 now, in the next probably 3 weeks, I'll be in better shape now than I was then. And I'm just dialing it down. And I still have, like, I had sugar cookies last night. I still have stuff, right? But here's the thing that you can do. When I'm working with clients or even myself, I'll have them track their body fat every 2 to 3 days. Here's the point.
Mm.
Body fat, weight is 10% of the equation, because let's say you lose 5 pounds. I have a client say, Brian, I lost 5 pounds this week. I say, great. 5 pounds of what? What? Exactly. Is it muscle? Is it water? Is it fat? How would you know? You're not going to know with a scale. That's the point. Okay. Getting a body fat scale, you can get one for 29 bucks. I have one of my clients get for 29 bucks. The point is this: every 2 to 3 days, I will track myself so I can see what my nutrition, training, sleep, and lifestyle is producing. If I need to make an adjustment, I can make an adjustment. And then the following day, I'll be back ahead of where I was. That's why I track it that frequently, because here's another layer of that. I've had plenty of experiences in the past where people would work hard for a month, like doing all the things. And I'm like, you didn't track for a month. And now you realize for a whole month you've been busting your ass with everything's been off the mark. Awesome, right? No, that's why I'll never do that again. So tracking it every 2 to 3 days will save me a lot of wasted time, energy, and effort. And it will help me to adjust who I'm being quicker with data, aka facts, not my opinion. So that way I can adjust my understanding to take that data and function appropriately. So that's one. Number two, you remember when I told you it took me 13 years to get back in shape? It was because of blood sugar. I didn't know this, okay? When I started tracking blood sugar, and on my link tree, there's a conversation, Jillian Michaels. You familiar with Jillian Michaels?
I'm not, no.
Oh, interesting. She's a worldwide fitness icon. You can look her up. There's an interview with her on my link tree. There's one with Dr. Stephen Gundry, the author of Plant Paradox. And there's one with Dr. William Davis, the author of Wheat Belly and Undoctored. Here's the point. When you get on there and you start watching it, he's the one who got me started to track my blood sugar. And honestly, I have all my clients do it because blood sugar will give you an understanding of what's going on underneath the hood. If your body's not responding, if you're not getting leaner, if something's up, you need to understand what your chemical or your chemistry is doing underneath. So if something's off, you can make a change. Blood sugar is that thing. Blood sugar and body fat, those two things will empower you with wisdom you can use right now to make real decisions real quick off the facts. And that way you understand or have a authentic understanding of who your body's being based off what you're doing. So if something's not right, or you're not moving towards your outcome, you can look at these things and say, okay, well, here's what's going on. Here's the data, not what I'm thinking. And then I can make an adjustment. That's that piece. That will give you some external tools to validate the work that you're doing. The next piece is this, is cleaning up everything that you are not. An example is this. Throughout the day, every 15 minutes generally, I have a little alarm that goes off like I told you. What you can do is you can start rehearsing or trying on this new identity of yourself. So I have a list of things that I'll write out every time I see a person, or I'm like, oh, I love that characteristic: courage, boldness, authenticity, trust, whatever it is. I have a list of these things that I will rehearse. This is my highest self identity. Throughout the day, and especially before I go to sleep, I'll put this version of myself on and I'll amplify my feelings up to match that, so that my neurology starts to understand, like, okay, our human here is consistently feeling this high vibe version. Eventually your body's like, okay, I get it. Every 15 minutes, you're tweaking your state. I'm going to help you do it now, so you don't have to actively do it, because you're hardwiring that neurology. That's all it is. Our bodies are computers. You can hardwire to do whatever once you get clear on what. If you're not hardwiring yourself, you've already been hardwired. Think about that, okay? So being able to go through and start to rehearse that version. When I say rehearse, I'm like thinking about a dress rehearsal. Like if you were to peel off a shirt, put on your new identity, that's what I mean by being able to feel yourself into your newest expression. Now, here's how you can tell if your body's in the game or not, okay? So if you start thinking about this new version of yourself, and then you start having tension in these areas anywhere, that's your body being in opposition to what you are thinking. Good to know, right? Because then you can actually go through and say, okay, I'm thinking about this new identity of myself, and I have throat tightness, which is sorrow or sadness. Okay, then I need to go in there and clean up this so that my body will allow that new version of me to access. Make sense?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I gotta get my nose. I can't. I can't. Let me know. You got any questions off of that one? Anything that made sense or anything that
No,
did not?
I again, it's really profound. Because for a long time, whenever I've tried to attack this part of my life to try and get in better shape, I think I've always just attacked it from a physical sense, where it's training in the gym or cardio or and eating. I've never really understood what's, as you said, and I love the way you term it, what's underneath the bonnet. And often we just think, oh, that will take care of itself. Um, and this is the first time actually ever, I think, since I've been on a journey of trying to lose weight that I'm starting to think about it differently. So I really thank you for kind of triggering that.
Check
So
this out.
it's profound,
Use this too.
and
All
it
right.
makes
So
sense.
yeah, use this. Okay. So when we started talking about this last little exchange, you had a couple of stutters come out. A three.
Okay,
You don't have a stutter problem. I'm bringing your
interesting.
awareness to it so you catch it. Okay. Two. Hey, that means I can't. This is too hard. Now, I know you without knowing you, you would never physically or verbally say that. And that doesn't mean our emotional body is not feeling that. Okay. So here's the shift. When you hear the two, or you have snotty noses or allergies, that's the belief system of I can't, this is too hard. I'll give you a little story and then I'll give you the code on it so you can change it.
Yeah.
So one morning I was at the gym at 5 a.m. and I did not want to be there. And I'm doing the elliptical and I'm just bitching and complaining the whole time. This sucks. And I'm feeling it, man. I'm all hunched over and just feeling it. And while this is going on, my nose is running off my face. I told you I've done a lot of drugs in my past and never had a nose run like this. So I'm doing this like, why the hell is my nose running like this? I'm like, dude, what's the deal? So finally I stop in my mind. I'm still pedaling. In my mind, I'm like, what's up? I'm like, you know this. The whole time I'm feeling I can't, this is too hard. And I'm saying this sucks. So I'm not exactly saying I can't, this is too hard. I'm saying other things and feeling apathy or I can't, this is too hard. So check this out. And out of all the millionaire and billionaire clients I've get to serve over the years, I ask them, hey, what's the number one thing I've ever shared with you that allows you to change and shift states on the spot? It's this right here. So as soon as I had the idea, I didn't even verbalize it. As soon as I had the idea to say it, I didn't even get the whole thing out of my head, and my nose stopped running instantly. Okay. Here's the thing: the upgrade is when you hear the two stutter or the or you feel your butt pucker up because life happens. I choose to make this fun and easy is the shift. That's the other side of it. So use the phrase, I choose to make this fun and easy. Let's do it. Check it out. Say it.
I choose to make this fun and easy.
Good. And your head says, yes, I'm watching to make sure that you're in alignment with that. The point of the matter is this: when you hear that two stutter, you're going to say, what? What is it? When
Sorry,
you hear
did you
the
ask me
two
to say
stutter,
something?
yeah, when you hear
Right.
the two stutter, what's the upgrade? What's your new thing you just learned? I choose to
So I forgot the line.
make this fun and easy.
I choose to make this fun and
Fun.
easy.
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
write this down. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead,
Because
man.
I this is really useful. So what
Fucking,
I'm choosing to make this fun and easy.
I choose to
I
make this fun.
choose to make
Or
this
you
fun
can
and
do choosing
easy.
either one. It's really whichever one you feel best off. The
To
idea
make
is
this fun and easy. And
yeah,
is this a line that you can use with
all
anything that you're struggling with?
100%. Yes.
Right. Okay.
The deal. So
Interesting.
here's what I'll tell you. If you walk away with anything and you walk away with
Hmm.
that and you use it consistently, I would even encourage you to verbally express it so you can pay attention. Because here's what you need to know. Maybe even do it in front of a mirror, because the reason why I was having you do it so I could see how your body responded, because your body's going to tell you in a split second whether it's a no or whether it's a yes. Check this out. Today, when you're hanging out with your friends, your partners, whatever you got going on, watch when they're talking. If they should be doing this the whole time they're doing this, watch how often it happens. Okay. Does it mean someone's lying? Potentially, but it also can mean they're just not in alignment. Okay. So I wouldn't say they're lying, just ask some more questions, because Most people have no idea that they're out of alignment the whole time their body's doing this, but we have just been conditioned to just be in a trance and to not catch it. Okay. Everything you need is available to you right now. It's, do you have the consciousness, open-mindedness, desire, awareness to seek it and to use it, because it's all out there. You just have to do some sifting on some of it, right? So I choose to make this fun and easy is a very great, very profound, simple, conscious statement that you can use to elevate your experience within seconds. And here's the thing, folks. Whatever I share with you, it's going to work instantly or it's not going to work. Very simple. We don't have to wait. We ain't got to wait a month. We ain't got to wait a year. We're going to know right in a second, as soon as we rip this out, what happens or what your body does in response to it. And then we can make adjustments based off what your body does. Make sense?
Absolutely. And thank you again for sharing that. I want to come back to what we mentioned towards the beginning of the conversation, which was about body language. And that's something that I found extremely profound when I was going through your work. And again, I guess it's slightly linked to what we just said there about what we tell ourselves. And I literally had this feeling about 3 days ago in the gym, similar to what you experienced. I did not want to be there. And I should have changed my talk, but instead, and I'm only reflecting on this now because we're talking about it, what I actually did was I continued thinking I don't want to be there and forced myself through the workout and didn't enjoy it at all and came out of the gym not feeling great. So I guess if I had maybe said these words to myself at the time, I choose to make this fun and easy, that would have changed my experience completely. So I messed up big time.
I know you need the contrast.
Yeah.
Get the gym. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you would have never had the extreme other side of the issue, you would have had nothing to compare it to. Right? So be grateful in that and just know I choose to make this fun and easy. You mind if I share another little trick with you right quick?
Of course. Yeah, sure.
This is body language stuff. It's also NLP stuff. Okay, so check this out.
Yeah.
So anytime we're doing this stuff and we're putting these magical keywords into our vehicle to change our identity or give a new command or a program, I'm going to show you a little trick that you do with your eyes to put you in your body so that when you say something, you're going to feel it. Okay. And that's the key, is because whatever we're doing here, the faster I can get you to recognize whatever the thing is, get clear on what emotion it is, get understanding on what the new shift is, and then embed it, your body's going to change. So here's an example taking what we've already gone through with apathy, or I choose to make this fun and easy, which is the greatest strength. So our greatest weakness is our greatest strength, scripturally speaking, not religion. Okay. Greatest weakness in this case will be apathy. When I can love my apathy and shift it into I choose to make this fun and easy, well, that's my strength. Okay. So anytime you recognize where you're off your mark, that's not what's wrong. That's what's returning to you. Okay. Yeah. You have fear, your courage and your faith is on deck. Or if you have sorrow or grief, that's your joy. Okay. So here's the next piece of that. Back to the whole I choose to make this fun and easy. Eye trick. So with your face, look straight ahead, keep it fixed. Don't move it. Take your eyeballs only. And what you're going to do is I'll put my hand here, but what I'm doing is I'm looking down over here on my shoulder. I'm just taking my eyes. I'm looking here. So I'm straight ahead, face is still, eyeballs only. And I automatically just took a deep breath as soon as I did that, right? So I'll go here, and since we're using I choose to make this fun and easy, I choose to make this fun and easy. And then what I'll do is I'll watch my body respond. I took a deep breath, my chin went back, and my spine straightened up instantly, which tells me my body took the command, okay? So when you use that, you use your eye trick, it might even be something like this. I give myself permission to forgive myself, and I recommit to loving me here and now. That might be another one, because I can tell you this much. If you're off your mark and you're consistently noticing things happening that are in opposition to what you choose to have, explore not loving yourself. Because if that's off, everything's off. Everything is off. If your inner child's out of alignment and you're not loving your little 3-year-old, or your 3-year-old is not in the game, everything's off. That little version of you is going to absolutely sabotage your entire life until you figure it out. And when you get that version of you in the game on the same page, you can program that version of you to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you in your life, and it be completely congruent. meaning be unison, your team, versus a piece of you going here and a piece of you going here and everything being out of opposition. And then all of a sudden your body's acting funny and it's not doing what you want it to do, and you're not getting in shape and your relationship's in the weeds. That's because there's things going on that are out of harmony internally. Your external experience and your body is a reflection of what's going on internally, externally. Make sense?
Yeah. Just coming back to that exercise that you just mentioned about looking away, would you recommend looking away in a certain direction? Does it have to be the shoulder, or can it just be
Left.
anywhere? Only left.
Only left.
Okay. Only left. Okay. Does it
Just
have to
test
be toward the shoulder, or can it be on the ground? Or
100%. So face is still, don't
yeah,
move it. Find a
right.
spot on the wall. All I'm doing from here is I'm moving my eyeballs right over here. I'm looking at my shoulder. I
Just
choose to
that
make
way.
this fun and easy.
Okay.
Just test it. So look straight ahead. Keep your face still. Your eyeballs only. Left shoulder. So here,
Just that way. Okay.
I choose to make this fun and easy, or I give myself permission to make this fun and easy. Permission is a good one too. Like if you find yourself having resistance when you say it, your body's like, or you feel stuff going on, I give myself permission. That will get your ego out of the way and
Right.
allow you to embed that command in there. And I give myself permission is really helpful, because understand that our ego is very important. And it's also the part of us that can be a bit stubborn, but you need to have that version of you on the same page too. So you can't separate yourself from it. So how can you harmonize all of it? You're going to do that by linguistically creating statements that allow your subconscious to connect, but allow your ego to get out of the way, so you can embed that information into your identity. So I give myself permission to forgive myself. Give myself permission to forgive my mom and dad, my partner, whatever. I give myself permission to forgive me, and I recommit to loving myself. And I might even do something like this over here to my eye. I give myself permission to forgive myself, and I recommit to loving me here and now, because I feel that. And I will know instantly that my body's like, okay, we're moving forward, or we're not. Right? Does that make better sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, I just wanted your take on something as well. So, we were talking about the personal journey that I was on a couple of years ago, this weight loss program. Another thing that I struggled with was doing the necessary research that was required in terms of food intake. And I would say my kind of knowledge on what's healthy, what's not healthy is very surface level. I don't believe I am understanding of the nuances behind, say, for example, portions of food, or when is it okay to treat oneself. Because I find I go on the extremes. I have extremities of my food patterns. I can go way extreme and start eating junk food for like 3 or 4 days continuous, and then I'll come straight back and be okay for another week. I find it difficult sometimes to create a continuous balance.
So that's going to come from identity stuff, number one.
Right. Yeah.
And I totally get it, man. I mean, I have, just to be very clear, I have locks, combination locks here that I don't know the numbers to, because I'll get up and eat a bunch of shit. So I can relate to that. All right. And what you need to understand is that whenever there's things going on emotionally, this is important, broski. Check this out. Okay.
Yeah.
See if you can see this. So right here, that's your stomach. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where fear shows up. And you know how it feels? Feels like you're hungry when you ain't. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that when you find yourself hungry, are you really hungry, or is it fear? Okay. That's important, because that's how a lot of times I got fat the last 2 times, because I ate because I had social anxiety and things, but I just wasn't aware that that's what it really was. Okay. Here's the next piece. This is why tracking your body fat and your blood sugars will be super helpful for you. Tracking your body fat will tell you whether what you're doing is working in a day or two, and then you can adjust it. If not, you can at least have the data to adjust your emotions, because the biggest part about weight loss is emotional regulation, because it is emotions that creates a lot of the stuff. So unless we can control, not extract them, but control them, and to manipulate them in a positive way, to take the things going on that are not in alignment, get clear on what they are, and then I can change it to clean up that information coming into my body. Therefore, my body will naturally make smarter choices, because that's just who I be. Make sense? So if you find yourself cyclically going back through patterns, That's because there's stuff going on that needs to be cleaned up. This is why the emotional work is so important, because if you don't do the emotional work, you might get in shape. You're not going to hold it. You're not going to hold it because your framework, your neurology is not supportive of it. Your internal picture of yourself, you don't see yourself already in that state. Something within your unconscious identity sees yourself as a certain state. Like when you close your eyes, how do you see yourself? I remember when I used to see myself as fat, so therefore I was. I had to start imagining new versions of me shredded in shape and feeling great and doing it, and start rehearsing that image, that feeling frequently throughout my day, so that it just became a natural part of my being. And then what I found is my actions and my behavior started to shift because my identity of how I saw myself was changing. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself on a bender, like you said, the word treat, I personally, if you've been doing everything accurately, having a reward meal is what I call it, once a week. I mean, you're already in shape right now, so you might be able to do two, just depends on your outcome, what you're looking for. I would even say this: when you have a reward meal, have it at night before you go to bed. Here's why. So I hired a professional to do my nutrition back when I used to train a lot. And this guy says, all right, you can have a reward meal. Just make sure you have it at night before you go to bed. I'm like, oh, okay. So, of course, being the awesome student I was, I got up the next morning at 5 a.m. and went and had donuts instead of doing it at night. And here's what happened, okay? As soon as I did that, man, I should have known better. I was a fucking idiot at the time. And I should have known better because as soon as I had the donuts, take a wild guess. Do you think I went back to eating chicken and broccoli and all this stuff the rest of the day? No. Hell no. I just got hijacked by all that sugars and stuff. So what I did the rest of the day, continue eating like that. So a good tip is do it at night before you go to sleep, because when you go to sleep, your mind will reset. So when you rise up the next morning, you've already been fulfilled. You can go back onto your normal structure and get back in the game. Because if you do not, you might be a better man than I, but there was no turning back after that. I was like, well, I'm already in now. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it, enjoy myself. And all of a sudden it takes me 4 or 5 days to clean up everything I just did in a day. So you can do a lot of damage that way. So just give yourself permission to bless your food. Important. Give yourself permission to have a reward meal, maybe just once a week right now, or 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks, one every 2 weeks. You got to figure that piece out. Depending upon how your nutrition is structured, I think carb cycling is really important. And we talk about that in our book. Carb cycling is, and I'll give you an example of this, because what I did to get in shape here versus what I do now is a 180-degree difference. Here's what I mean. This time here, I was eating 6 meals a day, 7 days a week, 10 ounces of fish, sweet potatoes, every meal. Like, what a nightmare. Okay. Now I might eat 1 or 2 meals a day. I'll fast most of the time. I do a lot more yoga. I'll do yoga 2, 3 days, generally 3 days a week, sometimes 4. And then I'll do weights twice, sometimes 3 times. At this moment of my journey, I don't require a lot of stimulation from weights to hold my stature, because I understand how to eat and I can do it with yoga. So what I've learned to do with body blood sugar and body fat is, over the years, I've learned to tailor my physique by working smarter versus working harder, only because I have data to make intelligent decisions. Example, let's say when I track my body fat, then my body fat, my weight's going up. That tells me I'm not eating enough food. So when that happens, the following day, I'll have a higher carbohydrate day, spike my body back up. And all of a sudden the next day, I'm down 2%, my muscles back up, my body fat's back down. That way I know that, okay? A lot of times when people are doing this kind of work, they don't realize how illogical some of the adjustments are. And you're not going to know that unless you're highly skilled and you have a lot of experience dealing with this stuff. Because a lot of times when people's weight's going up and their body fat's going up, I'm only eating 1 meal a day. How the hell can I be getting fatter? It's because you're not eating enough. What? It's completely counterintuitive to most people. So that's why the data is important. And when you're tracking it that frequently, you can have a day worth of data to show the trend. Like, what direction am I going? Okay, great. Keep going. Track it again in 2 days. That way you can see what's going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, and I'll give you an opportunity to mention, of course, anything that we haven't that you feel is important. But I just had 2 very, very quick points. You mentioned earlier on about this water machine, and I forgot to just double check the name, because I'd love to include it in the description.
K-A-N-G-E-N. And I, yeah,
K-A-N-G-E-N.
K-A-N-G-E-N. And I can send you more information on it.
Okay.
Kangen. The company is called eNagic, ENAGIC.com.
Enagic. Yeah.
ENAGIC.com. You'll need a member. You'll have to use my number if you choose to get one, but you can at
Oh,
least
okay.
research them. I have a SD501. That's a flagship model. They've got quite a few other ones, but that's one I have,
Okay.
SD501.
Yeah. No, I'm really intrigued to just find out more about these, and
Yeah,
I can
bro.
mention it in the links at the bottom
Check
if
this
people are
out, dude.
interested.
You ever seen
Yeah.
one of these?
Uh, I haven't. No, what's that?
The Healy frequency technology. I have two of these. Actually, I have three. I got one from my mom and dad, but I can work on you from here with this thing. And this thing's profound, man. This thing can pull up emotional things going on. They're out of alignment. It can do detoxification, brain, sleep, emotions, whatever. It has a
How
tremendous
does
amount
it
of.
work?
So it's a frequency device. So what I do is I open my phone that has the apps on it. And
Right.
let's say I'm working on you. So I'll put a headshot, a selfie, your birth date, and your birthplace. This thing does this ninja magic and it pulls up like, hey, here's what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And then it'll tell you, hey, here's the upgrade. But what it will also do is it will take those new frequencies that your body's requesting and it will install those into your field. So your body has the new data to make new changes. And dude, when I first got my machine, it's back when all the bullshit was going on with COVID and when it really just started. People were standing out line with their fucking mask on, trying to get food and stuff. I'm like, this horse shit. So what happened was this when I first got my device, man. And for the first time in my life, my mind shut off. And I'm talking shut off, no thoughts for 3 or 4 days at a time. Other than what I was interested in thinking about, my mind was just in a vacuum. And now that's pretty normal for me. And it's because this thing is what I call it's a mind, body, and soul integration tool. It has the ability to pick up fragments, old experiences, could be mom and dad stuff, could be karmic, could be lineage. It can pull it up, but then it will actually take the new information, the frequencies, and put those into your field to connect those dots. It's profound, man. You can work on your animals with it. If you got kids, you can work on your clients. And generally speaking, if you choose to, I'll do some stuff for you. But within about 6 minutes, I can run 5 emotional programs and straighten you out. Probably help you get to a state of peace, generally for most people who are conscious of what they're feeling. But if any of my clients are in the sticks, I'm like, hey, man, if it just messes me when you're out of alignment, it'll take me about 5 minutes to do this, but I'll run 5 emotional programs, Bach flowers, Alaskan gym elixirs, creative homeopathy psyche, and then Alaskan gym elixirs. And this thing will straighten all that stuff out and get someone back to neutral. And man, I'll send you some information if you choose, but it's
Yeah,
profound.
yeah.
I even do
No,
some,
absolutely. It'd
yeah.
be really interesting to check that out. The
Between
last,
those,
yeah,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you're good. Between those two
Um,
technologies, those have been 100% transformative for me.
okay. No, that's good to know.
Yeah.
The last quick point I wanted to raise, you mentioned the importance of um, measuring one's body fat. What would be the tool that you'd recommend to measure body fat,
So
and
there
how
is a,
easy can it be?
it's simple. Literally, there's a scale called a RENPHO, RENPHO, RENPHO. I get it off of Amazon here in the US. It's
Yeah,
29 bucks for us. But RENPHO is the name of the machine. So RENPHO. It's a body fat machine. It's 29 bucks. Very inexpensive. It's
yeah,
literally just like a scale. You just stand on it like you would a scale, but it has a Bluetooth that connects to your phone. So it beams all the data up on there so you can see it all. And this is what I have my clients send me when they have stuff. After they do their measurements, I have them just send it to me and I can dissect the information and say, okay, adjust this or adjust that or blah, 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 right? Very
okay,
effective, 29 bucks. And then a blood sugar meter. Here's something to think about too, though, Sabir.
yeah,
There's something called have you ever heard of something called a CGM, continuous glucose monitor? A
no,
continuous glucose monitor, it's like this right here. This is a manual meter. When I say manual meter, this is what a manual body blood sugar meter looks like. Literally, I stick the little stick in there, I prick here, let's do it. I'll take
right,
one of these little sticks like this little thing goes in
yeah.
here.
And how often would you do this,
Right now,
roughly?
I might do it 2 times, but if I was tracking hardcore data, about 6 times a day.
Oh, really?
Because
As much as that? Wow. Okay.
yeah, because here's why. It takes a little while to get that type of data so I can see how my body's responding from stress, from sleep, from cortisol, from all the things. Tracking it 6 times a day at certain times will give me an ample amount of information so I can get in sync with what's going on underneath the hood. So right now it's a 103. That's kind of high. But I also just had some coffee espresso beans and some stuff like that. I took some glycine and some bitter melon. So there's things you can take to help balance it out. But having this information is critical because here's the point. And this is a really good tool. I'm glad you asked me this. I had an idea. Dr. William Davis, the author of Wheat Belly and Undoctored, in my link tree, you'll see the link to check it out. But he gave me the idea to start tracking blood sugar. So I started tracking my blood sugar. I had a wild idea, like, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to eat, which I always usually eat.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go slave my ass off, and I'm going to see if I can get my blood sugar down to 40s, right? Seems pretty logical. So I go and do just that. Went to the gym, had a crazy workout, was drenched. I was so pumped to go outside and check my blood sugar. I go outside and track my blood sugar, 123. What? That's wrong. Do it again. 123. Fuck. Call my friend Dr. William Davis. Hey man, I just went and did all this, blah, 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 blank, blank, blank. And I thought my blood sugar would be down to 40s. 123. Yeah, what's going on? He's like, well, here's what you need to understand. Cortisol, whenever you have stress or you're going to work out or you have life stress, cortisol is going to bump up. When your cortisol bumps up, so is your blood sugar. Okay. Take that understanding. So now what I do, the reason why I started doing yoga more is because I can go to do yoga and be in the 80s when I'm done, which means I can go do yoga at 12 o'clock lunchtime, which means I can fast all the way from the last night till 12 o'clock, go do yoga, come out of yoga, still be in the 80s. So then I can push not eating until 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night if I don't want to, because my blood sugars are within range and I'm not going to hypo to where I can't think, be around people or don't want to be around people. And if I am, I can make a quick adjustment because I'm tracking it. Okay. That's a very powerful understanding because it doesn't take a lot for me to stimulate muscles. If I can stimulate muscles 2 or 3 times a week and do my yoga to integrate, to work on my flexibility and all that kind of stuff, I find the functionality of that for me as better at this point in time in my life. Okay. There's one more thing I was going to share with you really quick. It's important.
Yeah, sure.
CGM. You might, depending upon y'all's healthcare system there, you might be able to grab one of these. A CGM it's a continuous glucose monitor. You know, like the finger pricker I just did?
Yeah.
This thing sits on the back of your arm. You might have seen someone who has these things on the back of their arm. It's like a sticker. What they'll do is they'll take their phone and they'll pop it on the back of that sensor. It downloads all the data so you can see where you're spiking, where you're going low. You can see what your sleep is like. I mean, it tracks data because it's sitting in your arm for 2 weeks at a time. Personally speaking, for my high-level performers who are very busy, I'll have them get a CGM. I was like, you know what? It's a little more pricey, but for where you're at and who you're being, that data is priceless. And if we can get that data in the first 2 months, so we have a very streamlined understanding of exactly how your body's responding with what's going on in life, I can give you real accurate information to make adjustments, and we can have real-time data collection so we can see what's going on and we can move much faster. Right. So when you have that data, it's going to save you pricking your finger 5 to 6 times a day, which just takes time. And understand, if you're really talking about being shredded, like I'm talking about not like halfway in shape, I'm talking about being on magazine shape. Even if you're just interested in having a better quality of life, knowing that blood sugar and body fat number is an absolute way for any human being who's committed to having a physique that they can be proud of and be healthy in it. Those things are imperative, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing that. As I said earlier, it's been really insightful conversation, and I didn't actually envisage to have a conversation like this because it's the first time we've met, and it's just really fascinating to hear your perspectives, and it's a real eye opener for me because personally I've been struggling with this for a long time, and it's just nice to hear a different side. Say again, sorry.
Let's work on your stuff right quick. Where are you having challenges at?
So,
how's your sleep?
So my sleep, okay, so at the moment, my sleep isn't, I started. You know why?
But what's
It's really good. I'm struggling at the moment because I'm staying up late.
What's your upgrade?
Oh, the upgrade is, I choose to, well, I've got it written here, sorry.
Right, say it.
Wait, let me find it.
We're practicing. It's good.
Yeah. So I choose to make this fun and easy, or I give myself permission to make this fun and easy.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you're doing it to yourself, I'm going to remind you because I'm loving on you and coaching you to help you catch it. Because if I don't help you
No, I
catch it,
love this. Yeah.
I didn't even hear it, man. I know. I thought I told you a minute later. You're like, "What are you talking about?" So that's why I just right then. All right, go. So sleep. You're
Yeah,
staying up
so
late.
I'm staying up too late. I'm staying up till like 3 a.m. I mean,
Okay.
I'm being productive, but when I get my sleep, whether it's 7, 8 hours, I'm still not waking up fresh. Like
All right.
I'll wake up, I'll go in the shower, I'll have breakfast, but within an hour after having breakfast, I feel tired.
All right. So here's you ready? You open minded?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Good. Ditch your breakfast. That's one thing. Only
All
have
right.
breakfast maybe twice a week. Okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, here's why. I used to eat breakfast every day. Like you couldn't fucking pay me to miss it for many years. Now you couldn't pay me to eat it for many years because here's why. I have found through collecting data that I can still get amazing results and not eat till 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and my body responds amazingly well. Because here's the point: when you put foods into your system, all your blood that goes from your brain, where you're thinking and doing things, go down to your digestive system, which means your energy and life force is going towards digesting your food, which means you're going to feel. So instead of doing that, wait to eat until later. Just track your blood sugar so you can see how your response, how your body's responding. So if you have stress and things going on, or if you notice things spike, you can have a little bit of protein, like maybe some turkey jerky or something like that, that won't give you a blood sugar spike. It'll give your muscles something to chew on and give your stomach something to chew on so your brain has something, and then you can move forward faster. Okay. That's one thing. Number two, this is really important, man, get on a regular schedule. And I've had later things with TikTok going on too, since I've been teaching more at nighttime. Sometimes I won't get in bed till 11 o'clock. Generally speaking, I shut down at 9. I'm in bed at 10 consistently. If I'm living on the edge, it's 11. Okay. I do that for a very simple purpose. My objective is to be consistent on getting up early in the morning. So I have my me time even on Saturdays and Sundays. So maybe for you, since you're used to going to bed at 3, maybe you go bed at 1, right? But here's the point: when from 11 to 2 is when your pineal gland secretes melatonin. So if you go past that, you're not going to regenerate and repair what's going on. Therefore, your body is not also going to have the best boot because you're out of rhythm with the circadian rhythm of our planet. So first thing I would recommend doing is going to bed at 10, 11 o'clock the latest, so you can at least catch the time where your pineal is going to secrete melatonin and help you sleep that way. And you're probably going to feel more rested then because the chemicals in your body are supportive of that. If you're not going to bed until 1 to 3 a.m. is the liver, which means if someone's waking up from 1 to 3 a.m., that's resentment. If someone's waking up from 3 to 5 a.m., that's the lung, that's grief or survival. Okay. That information is valuable because when we understand that, then we can come in here and use our chart to get clear on what my body is trying to tell me. Then we can go clean it up. And then the next night we go to sleep, we sleep through 1 to 3. Okay. Like when I design my own products, I design stuff in there. Liver, you can use milk thistle, which is 1 to 3. Shilajit in there too, which is for lungs, which is 3 to 5. Those two systems or those two nutrients will help boost the frequency in your liver and your lungs to help process or lubricate, if you will, any of the things that are stuck. So again, go to bed earlier. That's going to be a big deal. That'll help in itself. And then push your breakfast back to only once every 2 weeks, or cancel that twice a week. I would say
Okay.
like every third or fourth day. And you're going to know that because when I'm tracking my body fat, if my weight starts going up and my body fat starts going up, the next day I have a breakfast and I have more meals during that day to boost my metabolism back up. And then the next day I drop them back down until 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the afternoon. And I might have one bigger meal and then that's a wrap. It's
Okay.
always going to be ebb and flow, but when you're able to find how much you can get away with and then have a day where you spike it more, that'll give your body a better opportunity to go lower than deficit. And then the following day, boost it back up. So your metabolism spikes, your muscles come back on, and then your body takes all that new juice. And the next day, your body thinks it's running up here, but you actually have food down here. So you have more of a deficit where your body will burn it. Make sense?
Yeah, no, completely makes sense. And yeah, definitely food for thought. And hopefully, if there's someone watching who's in a similar situation to myself, then I'm sure these are key takeaways for them as well. Now, Brian, before we wrap up, I will remind everyone of how to stay in touch with your work online, and also links to your website in a moment. But before I do that, if there's anything that you wanted to mention that perhaps I've forgotten to mention in my questions, please feel free to do that, and then we'll wrap up shortly.
Man, the biggest thing that I could share that would be of value is loving yourself. If I ask you, do you love yourself, and your statement's not a yes, authentically, that's okay. Just be honest with yourself, because that needs to be cleaned up. If that's off, everything's off. Okay. So if you're hammering away and slaving away and doing all these things and wondering why things are changing, you got to get clear on if you love yourself. If you don't, I'll help you with that. But that's step number one. Number two is you're also the most important person on the planet, which means you need to put yourself first, because if you're not putting yourself first, you're not going to be able to help anyone else do the same. So give yourself the best first. Put your own airplane mask on first so you can help yourself first. Not being selfish is called loving yourself, right? Set a schedule for yourself, which we kind of talked about. Set a schedule, that way you have a consistency of when you're going to bed and when you're rising up. Because look, at this point, we're in a meat suit, which means we have to have sleep. People who say you don't need it is an idiot. You have to have it. So activating it to where you get the most out of it, meaning also you can start programming yourself before you go to sleep with what you're choosing to hardwire, so that while you are asleep, your conscious mind's out, your subconscious mind takes all that new information that you're inputting and it starts to rewire your neurology while you're asleep. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can do to really rewire your sleep and to step into self-mastery, not by working harder, by working smarter. So that's what I have.
Thank you so much. And just a quick reminder, guys, whether you're watching or listening to this show, quick reminder about how you can stay in touch with Brian Johnson's work and how you can reach out to him as well. So just a quick reminder about Brian's TikTok. You can catch him using the handle I am Brian_Johnson. Just a quick reminder of how you spell Brian's name. So it's Brian, second name Johnsson. He has a fabulous website as well, which is brianjohnsoncoaching.com. And I will mention the Linktree link at the bottom of the podcast description as well, which does include links to everything that Brian mentioned, including, of course, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and everything else as well. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. As I said in our conversation earlier, I wasn't quite expecting to have a conversation like we did. So very, very pleasantly surprised. Thank you for tuning in. As I said, I hope you've enjoyed it. And just a quick reminder, I will include all of Brian's mentions in the description at the bottom. So please do go check out Brian Johnson's work there. Thank you once again. Until next time, do take care of yourself. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.